Good morning, everybody. My name is Paige Getz, and I'm turning this project in a little bit late because I just got back from Africa late last night. Um, so, this is the cultural project, and I decided to do it on the Ugandan culture while I was there. I interviewed a few people on our staff of the team that I went with and asked them some of the questions and really got to know each one of them a little bit deeper in that way, which was cooler for my trip, but also cool for this project that I got to personally interview someone and ask them about death in their culture. And it was super incredible. So I'm excited to share this with you guys because it's very interesting. And so I hope you enjoy it. Um, and this is from this is information mostly from a man named Boya Mansoul. We call him Mansoul, but in Africa they say their first names second. So Boya is his last name. And he is from the Kampala region, which is the capital of Uganda. So this is probably a very generalized um, experience or viewpoint from his Pacific region's culture, which is all the regions around Africa in general, all just as in America, they all experience different things and believe different things. So this is just to give you a general point of where I'm coming from. And so yeah, he's from the Kampala region, and in the Kampala region of Uganda, death is seen as a sign of bad luck or sadness in the family. Um, So, when someone in your family dies, the whole community will gather at your house and they will be there for 3 to 4 nights, stay the night with you, and they also collect a pot of money and through the community, and that money that they collect goes towards the funds of your funeral and your burial. Um, so yeah, if you're from the community and you do not come and help them grieve and mourn and also donate money, then you are looked down upon in the community. It's highly against their morals to do that, and it's also difficult actually for them to be able to do that because um, on average most of them make less than $3 a day. um, our staff in Uganda gets paid anywhere between $100 to $240 a month, and that's adequate living. So, just to put that into perspective, they have to work every single day, and so that shows how important that this is to their culture if someone in their community dies, and it also shows how close their communities are to each other, and how you and your I was talking to one of the boys, and they said if their neighbor didn't see them that day, they would think that something is wrong with them. So they're very close to their neighbors, very close, and some of them even live in the same area. Their houses are connected to each other, and they're just dirt houses. Not even Most of them aren't even made of concrete or cement or anything like that. So they're just very close um, in not in um, relationships, but just in physically they're close to each other all the time. So you know, just as you are to your roommates, they're close to their community in that type of way. That's what I mean by community. It's why they come together so strong when things like this happen. But the interesting thing is when deaths of children happen, typically it's actually not as important. I'm Mansoul said that if the families were close to each other, they'll help them mourn. But otherwise, a death of a child isn't really as seen as important as the death of an adult. I, from hearing him talk, I think it's more because of the financial need that the adult provided for the family, and now they no longer do. And so, when their child dies, you grieve and you mourn and then they weren't making an income for you. So that's kind of how they view it, which is kind of difficult to set in and hard to hear because they don't view child death on the same level as they view adult death. And usually for the burial and the funeral of that, it's typically just the family who are there, which their families are usually 6 to 10 kids. It's crazy. So, oh, yeah. So if you're from, as I said before, if you're of the community, it's your responsibility to take a day off work or a few days off and show up for this family and help them because they will in turn do the same for you. So if you do not do that, and if you're a part of the community and you do not show up and help them, then the community won't in turn show up for you and your family at that time of death. So it's kind of you give and you get type of thing for them. And then after the death of the family, most people die of an illness in their family. I have some echo. Sorry if you hear that. Sorry. So if the family member dies of illness, most people in Africa don't live to be the average age, about how old they get is about 65 years old, whereas in America it's about 78. So they typically die of a type of illness. AIDS runs rampant, AIDS and HIV, malaria, and then foodborne illnesses go, and they don't clean their water, and so the water that they intake provides or infects them with an illness, and so illnesses spread like wildfire, especially as I said, the communities are so close to each other physically that it's easy when one person gets sick, the whole community gets sick and the whole family. So they burst the illness, which means that they go in and they pray over the kind of like if you had a ghost in your house and they were trying to get rid of the ghost, it's the same exact way with an illness in a family. They they pray over the house, they do incense and stuff so that that illness that killed the one person won't kill the rest of the family and the rest of the community. Called bursting. This is according to Mansoul. I have tried to Google bursting and there's not very much information about it. So it's just something that their community or their culture specifically in Kampala does, and there probably hasn't been much research on it. So, and after the death of an adult, the eldest son or the hopefully adult son will take over the responsibility of taking care of the property and the rest of the family financially after that time of death. So they do a ceremony so that the eldest son can inherit all of the responsibility from their parents. And another very interesting thing is, while I was there for 10 days. We drove all around Kampala and even into a couple other districts, and I never once saw a cemetery. So I asked Mansoul, I asked him if they had cemeteries. What did everyone was they all cremated? I wasn't sure. So he said that cemeteries are very uncommon, but they do exist. But people who get buried in cemeteries are people whose family is unknown or the family doesn't know about the death. So it's kind of a memorial ground for people who aren't as recognized in their families. They still have friends, but so typically what happens is you are buried in your ancestral burial grounds. So your family as a whole, for many, many years, you buy a plot of land and you own that land as a family forever and ever and ever. And when you die and your wife dies and your kids die, and whether they get married or not, they get buried in your family's plot of land together. It's called an ancestral burial ground, which is very interesting to me. So that is all I have for you about the culture of death in Uganda. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask. Thank you so much.